Hello and welcome to the Chivalry 2 Survivor Runs. Today's map is Dark Forest and I'm playing as a defender with a simple crossbow. The weapon itself is situational, it does not deal a lot of damage, but two well-placed shots, if one is a headshot, can take out a knight. However, landing the hits is extremely hard because on long ranges the drop is significant. Also, the map itself is one of the hardest for defenders. Anyway, let me comment the round itself. So after landing several hits, I decided to retreat into a safer spot. Again, being in the front line as a crossbowman or an archer is not really what you should do. By the way, this barricade is particularly good, so if you can defend, but of course, once it's gone, you have to rethink your strategy. As you can see, even as a crossbowman, I can do melee pretty well. Although that's not recommended because you have quite low stamina, and that means that you just 2 of 3 blocks and then you'll lose your weapon. So crossbowman still has an edge on archer regarding stamina wise, because it does not take stamina to load the crossbow and hold the crossbow. So in a sense you'll have more full stamina bar whenever you use a crossbow. But the weapon itself, of course, the warbow is better because it shoots the projectile. It's much quicker, and landing shots is easier than with the crossbow. However, this particular place is extremely good and beneficial for crossbowmen because you can just hide once you reload. And just again, one melee fighter came in and tried his luck. Again, as a crossbowman, I have more stamina. So in melee, crossbowman is actually better than an archer, just because he has, he retains more stamina than an archer. Also, in Dark Forest, usually attackers are congregating next to the ammo cart, so few well-placed shots can send them to a spawn point. But yeah, usually with crossbow, you land shots on guys that are actually closer than with a bow, because it's harder to aim and projectile slower. But once they are open, like this one, you can land consistently. So yeah, just a bit of practice and then you're good to go. Of course, as a defender you have to go back earlier than usually. So yeah, just keep an eye on objective and don't be in front of your team. This is not what crossbowmen should do. But when enemies charging your friendlies, you have to put some bolts into them. Also, crossbowman does have 15 bolts, which is really good. Also, the crossbow is better against enemies than the siege crossbow. But siege crossbow is much better against siege weapons, of course, as its name entails. Yeah, I was able to get the enemy and still waited for Vanguard to go at me and was able to change the weapon. So yeah, I calculated correctly, but this was risky. Enemy lost his second thrown weapon, so he's no longer a threat to me, but he ran away. Yeah, smart strategy, not to die here for no reason. So good job. Yeah. So always keep an eye. No, not really sure. Several shots in this run will be really baffling why they don't land. Like this one too. So sometimes, the shots are not landing due to hitboxes, but again, I'm not saying the game is bad, I'm just maybe not a really good shot with the crossbow. Okay, I don't play with it too often, but it has its moments, like shooting in the back, or shooting, from high up into guys who, on the lower ground, like, in the Red Wedding. These are fine. These are the perfect situation for crossbowmen. Now landing hits, again, I'm not very good at first person. So I cannot really calculate correctly the distance, but I lost 2/3 of my health to a friendly who just was passing by and decided to unload several execution axe hits on me. These things happen. You play with other people. Right, so I did put the purveyor just in case there will be folks shooting here, but there's actually no point because I already see that the objective is moving, Landed a few hits on the enemies. For some reason, I'm landing fire bolts better than I do with the fire arrows. For some reason, with fire arrows, I'm just almost missing every shot. But with fire bolts, I can land a few. So yeah, perfect place when you are on the top floor and then some folks are on the bottom and they're trying to go up, so they're quite slower. So you are able to land few good shots, but again, I calculated that's just too many enemies here, so I have to retreat again. Also, what helps for crossbowmen is actually the flag. It delivers a lot of points, so that's also beneficial for sort of being relatively on the first half of the scoreboard. Again, it's not comparable to melee weapons, at least with my abilities with melee weapon. Not as much damage is done, but still, you know, some folks do like crossbow. So if you do reload, just try to hide when you do that, and don't reload immediately. Just move a bit, because you might, you know, enemy archers might be looking at you. And again, just wait for the moment to lose your bolt, and you'll land a hit like here. It's best to shoot in the back or into the clumps of enemies, of course. Works most of the time. Yeah, nice headshot, 170 damage. So a body shot does 75, and the knight has around 165 HP. So yeah, it does kill enemy knight if there's one of the shots is a headshot. But so does the warbow. So arguably, warbow, it takes less time to draw it. So yeah, warbow is still better, but crossbow is okay, I guess. Not my favorite weapon, of course, but it has its moments. So I'm not contesting the main objective because it's really hard. Although I'm standing next to it, I'm not going in with my one-handed axe. I'm not making the justice on the enemy, because it's just simply too many of them, and too many friendlies who can kill me too. So I lost now around 1/5 of HP. Everything of that was taken away by the friendly. Do not despair, I can always return back. Now finding a really good time to reload is actually the art of the game for crossbowmen. Now it looks like fine, the enemy retreated somewhat. And still I'm not reloading. Oh yeah, okay, I can do that finally. I see too many enemies here. I see one going up and he could potentially close my retreat. So I decided to just jump down. Of course, since HP pool is quite low, I actually incurred myself 1/4 of total HP damage by just falling down. So with Archer, escaping through jumping down is a bit trickier due to low HP pool. But yeah, it worked this time. So finally, again, I'm in a safe spot. Can finally reload. Didn't load a bolt into the enemy. Now one hit kill item. I probably hit friendly too. But yeah, it still was worth it. I did not see the team kill notification. So I guess it only worked, only enemy was killed. So good. And I also, again, you saw, I lose the bolt and then go back into the safe spot to reload. This is very important, because if I'm playing with a warbow and I see a crossbowman, like 9 times out of 10 they would simply reload in the open field and they would die from one hit from warbow. So if you're a crossbowman, always retreat back. And I heard something up there, so I decided to, you know, just double check what's there on the top. And yeah, fair enough, there were quite a few enemies already there, so it was no longer safe there. So I retreated even further back. Now landing long range shots, it's almost impossible. Enemy has to be perfectly still, but if enemy archer usually like to strafe, and for a good reason. Now caught an enemy you know, midair and killed him. Really good, but he was low HP. So for non-armored opponent, for Vanguard, it does only 50 damage, which is much lower than you would anticipate, but still 50 damage is not 70 like with the warbow. So you would need 3 body shots to kill a vanguard, or again 1 body shot and 1 headshot if you're good enough. I usually don't land a lot of headshots with crossbow. With warbow I'm more consistent, just because they have the flatter trajectory of the arrow from warbow as compared to the bolt from simple crossbow. Yeah. So that's why it's harder to land hits with it. Also, since projectile is slower, it sort of drops much quicker. So yeah, those things, that means it's not a long range weapon, more the medium range. And this is where it shines. Medium range behind an obstacle. Yeah, that's what you should do. Really trying to align my, you know, my reticle on the enemies since they're retreating. Because every shot counts. Now 3 bolts landed in a row. Now for some reason couldn't shoot the guy in the back. These things happen because people move erratically. These are not bots, so calculating is a bit harder. But once they're actually stationary or just blocking and strafing into one direction, they're easy pickings for, you know, experienced crossbowmen or Chivalry 2 player in general. So yeah, again, reloading behind a tree, so I would not receive any arrows. Now we lost this objective, so I'm just retreating because there's no point to fight. But yeah, I've got hit by a thrown weapon. It's fine. Now you saw I accelerated my hit, so it landed really quickly, but you couldn't even see the axe head which landed on the enemy. So yeah, that's why first person is not very best. Unless you're dueling and very good, have a good experience with particular weapon. Otherwise, you know, you just can miss a lot of times the enemy. So, and when you're playing a third person, you can actually see where your hit is landing, the melee hit. Also, crossbow is shaking once you just pick it up, you know, and try to aim. It starts a bit shaking in the beginning, so that's why you should wait like a half a second before shooting. Otherwise, you know, it goes completely wide. Now I'm trying to help here, but again, this is a good range, but friendly is there, so you know I can deliver team damage too. So instead, you know, carefully you have to double check when to shoot or when to just let people pass. Yeah, a nice hit on the enemy who was carrying a torch. It was helpful, you know, working again for objective. But landing is not easy when people, you know, are jumping and strafing. So I instead decided a different opponent as a target practice. Now again, caught the enemy midair. Very good. I see enemy under this ladder. He wants to go up. Probably a good player because he retains his speed. He moves not like a bot, but actually with fluid movement he goes around, and fair enough, here he comes. You know, he's strafed, so yeah, that's experienced player. What do I do when I see experienced player and I have a non-melee class? I retreat. Yep. Just to be on the safer side. Of course, from this particular tower, it's pretty hard to land shots because as a crossbowman you usually play in a medium range fighter, sort of medium range shooter. But once you actually go to the long range, and this is already a long range, landing hits is extremely hard. Now I landed a hit on the enemy archer, but he was stationary. So, but after that shot, he just went in and healed himself. So yeah, enemy was on the right, I do remember, and I hear, yep, there you go, there he is. But it's alright, since I'm a crossbowman, I have more stamina, so I'm better at melee. I can block maybe 2 or 3 hits with not much problem. But as an archer, if I have used my stamina for jumping and shooting, then you know, the situation is much more dire when an enemy melee fighter comes into your range. So yeah, now this is a bit tricky part because in Dark Forest you cannot retreat safely into behind the walls. You have to wait until the boards are being you know, sort of put up next to the wall, so you can run up onto the, you know, you can go onto the ramps. But in order to do so, we have to lose this objective. So, and in the meantime, you know, I can be killed here by, you know, by the ballista guy from behind, friendly ballista guy. Then I could be killed by friendly and enemy catapults. So yeah, it's not easy. Now, really good, anticipated, like there were 5 enemies there. So it was much easier to land a hit on the enemy when they are bunched up. And was lucky to actually get also a kill. Now I really wanted to, you know, put a dent into the enemy's armor. That enemy who actually just came into the range of our catapult. He was not a bad player. He was dancing there against 3 of our friendlies. But still, I reloaded my bolt and managed to hit the enemy. So again, you see a lot of hits that are not killing people, but just delivering damage. And that's how it works with Crossbow. You actually deliver a lot of assists. Because again, you cannot consistently reload quickly and deliver a shot. Because enemy archer, there you see, enemy archer. Of course, I landed the first hit. They are always looking on the lookout for crossbowmen who are vulnerable when they're reloading. Now to get a second hit on the archer is a bit trickier once he starts strafing, because again, projectile is quite slow. So yeah, now behind this cart, it's like, it's quite possible to survive, but again, if enemy, I have to be on the lookout on enemy catapults. If they're trying to get, you know, to shoot our catapult, then I might be in the way and also die. Actually landed the second hit on enemy archer, who was quite far away. So he got a bit sloppy and stopped strafing, and that was his demise. Again, jumping shots are very good with crossbowmen, because since you do not lose stamina when you're drawing the bow, you only lose stamina from jumping. So you still have a very healthy pool of stamina after jump, unlike with the archer. Good, objective has moved. Now I have to go back to the throne room. There are 2 ways, generally. Of course I can go and try to open the doors, but the best way is actually this ramp and a small window. And there is also same situation on the right side. A ramp and a small window. So yeah, I'll soon be making my way inside the throne room. Now I'm moved up a bit on the left side onto the roof, just in case enemy ballista was targeting this location. And ballista bolt landed somewhere. I really just didn't want to watch where it did. Now this particular objective is a bit tough, because since enemy is hunting actively our Duke, he will go, you know, through all the lengths to go behind the main objective, behind this throne room, behind the throne itself. And that's actually not very good, because that means that I will face a lot of melee fighters. So using crossbow is even harder in this stage than in all previous stages. Again, and a bit whiffed shot in the back because the enemy was moving. Yeah, so not always you can calculate correctly. And also here is a bit, you know, I have to always be on the lookout that on the right side I would not see enemy coming in up the stairs. And you see they do. So there's 2 enemies there and 1 friendly. So I decided to retreat back. And by the way, I can use my, you know, healing banner for additional points. So far it's fine. But here, if you think that this location is safe, it's not. Very often you'll see a lot of enemies coming here. Yeah, already 1 enemy behind that pillar. And strafing, you see? Good player, understands what to do. For some reason, friendlies are not yet, have not located him yet. But I think now he's retreating. Yeah, there he is. Now he runs away. Good. So on top, there are 2 enemies slinging out with 2 friendlies. I really want to hit an archer, but for some reason he is hesitating whether or not to go into melee. So I'm trying to catch him when he finally decides if or not to go to melee range. But he actually took out a bow and decided to use a bow. So yeah, Didn't want to expose myself too much again. I'm one hit away from dying from a competent archer. So you have to always think about that. Now 400 points, that's already a good banner. And it keeps on going. So 450. 450, do we have 450? Yeah, we have 450. That's a really good banner. Of course, you know, kudos to team who actually came in and to heal and give me points for free. So yeah, 463 points. That's good. So I'm still third in the scoreboard. Again, mostly due to the fact that I did not do a lot of kills with crossbowmen. And though it looks like I'm last hitting the enemy, it's not. It's usually I'm landing hits on the enemy and I'm not getting anything from it. Not even assist because enemy retreats. And that's it. For some reason didn't land my bolt on the right enemy. But now I did. So now got, you know, one hit on the vanguard and then a kill on the enemy knight. Now also another kill on enemy knight. Good. So 2 minutes left. Not, and I see enemies. You see, they're here. I'm okay, you know, in melee. But now I lost my weapon due to lack of stamina. So still have to pick it up, another weapon, in order to defend. Not an easiest thing. I also have to look for a secondary weapon so I would not lose my crossbow. So yeah, I picked up the 100 mace. It's a good weapon. Of course, it doesn't go through the enemies. It's not as good as 100 axe, in my opinion. But it's still a very decent weapon. So yeah, so far a minute and a half left. Again, trying my best to survive, not trying to be exposed too much for enemy archers to give me my first death. Now I see a lot of enemies are next to the gate, and unfortunately I actually knocked my friendly. These things happen. Again, pretty hard. I really want to saturate the air with my bolts, but there are friendlies in the way, so I'm just delivering team damage at the moment. Again, not intentionally. But now friendlies have dissipated and the enemy is assaulting. A nice hit on the vanguard who was just going in the front from the left side. And there's enemy here. Yeah, I landed that too. And another enemy, you see? So 40 seconds left. Pretty good effort so far. The Duke is doing fine. Unless he does a last minute mistake. It seems like he does. He decides to go more risky approach and lost 2/3 of his life. Yeah, there you go. He almost died. He almost died. Yeah, anyway, from my part, you know, I hit a lot of hits on the enemies and enjoyed the game. So that's very good. Yeah, quite a good run for me. Of course, the map is not the easiest. 45 assists and 22 kills. So the ratio is not very good, but that's the weapon. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and see you next time.